What's up, everyone? It's Turner Fan 77, and I'm here with Adam, aka Bearded Four Eyes Man, and we have a special guest with us tonight. He is my other partner in crime, my brother from another mother, David, aka the 4K Lowedown. And we're all three here tonight for episode 4 of We're Not Supposed to Watch This. I guess it's a mouthful. We are not even supposed to watch this today. And we're talking about Dogma. So we're going to jump right into this. And we already got somebody in the comments. Draculina Horror. Hello, guys. Excited for
going on.
You, man. We really appreciate it.
Obviously. 100%. 100%.
Okay. We're going to start with David because he's our special guest. Tell us your first thoughts on Dogma.
My first thoughts on Dogma.
Outstanding work.
So yeah, this what we have another special guest.
Yeah, we do.
Yes,
That's your granddaughter.
100%.
What you got? Say hi.
Hi.
I
Is that for me? Okay. I was like that.
Well, he's doing that.
Almost.
We already got that.
Job. Where's the screw? Go get the screw. Go get the screw. Watch Scooby. Oh, bye. I know. I'll come in a second. I know. Okay. So she's come on.
got to do
okay.
it.
So I am not a Kevin Smith fan. So it's just in time for the cameo. Hey man, thanks brother. Appreciate you being on.
Yep.
1/3 of the Nerf Herders, which was our team name. We went against the Collectors Club in the sci-fi trivia competition over on Huck's channel. And we won 3-on-3 battle. What was that, Adam?
I said I wished I could have been there for that. That's for sure.
I wish you could have been there too, but we got Fish. Fish joined us, and then it was Fish, Caveman, Chris, who was Starships. I remember it was Starships or something is his name, and I'm kicking myself now because I can't remember his handle. But so we were all teaming up against the Collectors Club, and then basically took the lowest score out. So it was just the 3 Nerf Herders with the highest scores against the Collectors Club, and we prevailed. We came out on top.
Nice.
And also the golden mug went to me.
Good stuff.
Barely though, because convicted cinephile Derek, he did an amazing job. He was only 2 points behind me.
So you have a golden mug. I have a golden mug. We finally both got.
We finally both have golden mugs. I needed some redemption because I blew it when we had the battle, Adam. It was you, me, 4K King.
Yeah, that was like I forget who came.
I remember that.
It wasn't me, and I know I was like second, but whoever came there.
Yeah. No, I was first, and then I missed the last question.
Yeah.
so then I ended up being third, and but we were all like, wait.
Oh, our episode was definitely neck and neck, and unfortunately, Arthur was quite there on the bottom. But that's
it was the 3 of us, and then Arthur was there.
He was there. He was
there. It was fun. But but no, it was a blast. But no, with Dogma, this is one of the few Kevin Smith movies that I love. So to get to watch this again, and of course I watched it today, so we can talk about it. It was a real treat. So I'm happy to talk about this with you guys.
What about you, Adam?
Glad to have your first thought. Both these gentlemen up here, please subscribe to both their channels.
Yes.
Can't thank you guys enough for always having me here. 2 brothers from different mothers up there. But Dogma 100% is my favorite Kevin Smith movie, hands down. There's no competing with anything else. Now Clerks 2 comes in a second close, but it's just the sheer. I think it's the writing on this one that gets me. Actually, hold on. I'll hold up all three of mine. I got this one, and I got this one. So I got all three. But no, this is just one. I think it's the writing. It's the subject matter. It's the serious comedic take on it. And there's, they always say there's certain things that shouldn't be comedic, and religion's one of them. But I think he really put this one into as he put as many dick and fart jokes in this as he possibly could, while keeping it a serious and comedic movie at the same time, which is definitely why it's one of my it's definitely up in. I know we did the top 5. We did our top 5 that one night, and it should have been in there. But it's definitely
nice. Cool.
Definitely could be easily in my could easily be in my top 5 any day of the week.
For me,
Dogma,
I have issues with. We'll get to that when we as we go further into the night.
Sure.
But this is not one of my favorite Kevin Smith movies. Like you said, the writing in here is fantastic. But there's certain elements that just pull me right out of this movie. And it's really hard for me to get back into it once these scenes started popping up. But again, we'll get to that later on.
I think that's why I think the greatest dynamic about how we both enjoy Kevin Smith movies in our own right. And I feel like I knew this portion excuse me, was coming up because how we talked to each other about you liking Chasing Amy the way I like Dogma is how I feeling that this is going to play out. And it's perfect is exactly how we wanted it to be. But in the case of how I feel about it and the way you feel about Chasing Amy, it's like there's going to be some things that we talk about here that I'm going to be like uber passionate about. But
and that's great.
I know, that's why I was like this is my rich moment from Chasing Amy.
I was in tears. I was embarrassed, but you know what?
Don't
in the moment.
Love it.
But that's art,
Yeah, that's what art does.
And that's why I love that movie. I love movies that make me feel.
Yeah, like I can't wait till we get to talk about my couldn't abide the liquor. Yeah, I don't know what it is. That's there's just scenes in this that just take me to a different place, and again it could be the writing, could be the acting, it's both, could be the subject matter. I think that one scene, once we get to it, I think it's 4 or 5 different elements that really bring it together for me, and so like I said, I can't wait to enjoy the evening with you guys.
So we're gonna I got a couple factoids I'm gonna throw up on the screen, and most people already know this. Dogma was Kevin Smith's 4th film.
Yep.
It was originally slated to come out in November 1998, but word got out that this movie was quote unquote controversial. He got death threats, which was stupid. The Catholic people got upset, so they pushed it back to November of 99. The budget for this film was $10 million, which is usually pretty low for a movie now, especially nowadays. And that's about average for a Kevin Smith movie.
He filmed. There could be there's a little factoid that I could say. There's a part of this. Several scenes in this were filmed in Pittsburgh when I was out there. When I lived in downtown Pittsburgh. Yeah, there's some steps that they walk on. It's the SRX or SXE tower. It's this big tower that's right there, and I walk past it every day when I was going to culinary school. I walk down the steps of the building that they walk in, so it's pretty cool.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Well, this is made average, again, Kevin Smith money, $31 million. And we're all 3 physical media guys, so this was released on VHS and DVD. I didn't realize VHS was still in 2000.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Still strong, very strong, actually, at that point in time.
Yeah, see, I didn't. This just shows I really wasn't in tune at that time to the physical media. So that came out in May 2000, and then shortly after that, in 2001, the 2-disc special edition, which Adam, you have the one with the slip.
I do have the
came
one.
out.
So does Dave, I believe. Or do you have the?
I don't.
I do not have the slip.
Okay.
Mine did not have the slip.
And then, of course, the out of print Blu-ray came out 2008.
That's the one I have. Yeah.
I don't have that one. And then just recently, in the recent news, Kevin Smith got the rights back to Dogma. So hopefully, sometime soon, within a year or so, we'll get some news about another physical media copy, maybe hitting digital. And so, yeah, that's all the factoids I have. So I know Adam has a lot to say about this movie.
Yeah.
I am going to hand over the mic to Adam and let him
I appreciate
just take it away, because this is his movie.
You know, they tried to silence Silent Bob. Yeah, actually, I was just read something the other day, or watched it. Really, was about Kevin Smith went to a protest of his own movie. Did you guys ever see that? About
I did.
Yeah, he went to a protest of his own movie, and then they interviewed him on the TV, and the woman was like, in the interview, it was so funny. She goes, a person who looks suspiciously like the director, you know? And they pretty funny.
Didn't the sign say Dogma is dog shit or something like that?
Yeah, that's what he that's his own movie, which was like.
And then he told him his name was Walt Flanagan or Brian Johnson or something.
Yeah,
like that.
something like that. Yeah, they put it up on the screen. You know, pretty good. But that, you know, that's where I think that's a part of this, because the guy didn't take himself too seriously. He wrote something that he felt that, you know, was just personal to himself, because he started writing this before he started writing Clerks. A lot of people may not know. You know, so I mean, it was a, you know, passion project from way back. This is the kind of you know, conversation. It would be amazing if we got a little knockdown on the door there and Kevin Smith wanted to pop up and talk to us.
Oh yeah, right.
It'd be amazing.
That'd be fantastic. I'd probably have a heart attack right here.
I know, I probably would too. I'd be like, can you sign
Dave, I'd be like,
can you do it virtually? Can you sign it? But no, I think, you know, right off the bat, I mean, it's kind of weird right off the bat, just seeing, you know, this old dude, you know, standing at the boardwalk and these three kids beat him down, you know, and then you're like, what the hell is going on? And then, of course, you know, it cuts to, you know, them in the airport. Yeah, it's
airport. It's the airport.
Yeah. Well, that's the weird part. I was like, my wife didn't even realize for the longest time that where they were at was an airport. And I was like, yeah, it's an airport. She looked out the window and she goes, oh, there's an airplane. Duh. Yeah. I was like, yeah, that's where they got banished. You know, Bartleby and Loki get banished to Wisconsin. Now there was always a discussion there too. It was like, were they banished to Wisconsin or were they banished to an airport in Wisconsin? Like, that's always, because they say it later.
Right.
Rickman says, he goes, they got banished to Wisconsin. So my thing was, is this where they just ended up? Is that where he, the good Lord put them there? And then they just built the airport up around them, and that's where they had to stay. And that's, you know, that's just where it happened to be. But I don't know, you know, but you know, again, just, I think a very, kind of weird beginning to a movie. I don't think you know what's coming with those first couple scenes, you know. It's very, very odd, but I like how it doesn't transition to the title until after about 12-15 minutes of movie, you know, and then the Dogma pops up on the screen.
Ben Affleck, everybody knows me, I love Ben Affleck. He was made for Kevin Smith movie. It was up spicy.
What's up, spicy?
The way he delivered, I am, man. Thank you. I had to bail last night on Mike and David last night. I got sick.
He left.
I hope you feel bound.
Dude, I did. I feel so much better. I was trying to not to like just take off screen and look like a fool because I had to throw up.
Oh goodness.
Yeah. Anyway, the way even in Dogma, Ben Affleck delivers Kevin Smith lines perfectly.
Yes.
The way he emotes the feelings in him. Same with Matt Damon.
Oh yeah.
You don't associate Matt Damon a lot with Kevin Smith as you do Ben Affleck.
No, because he's one of his troop players, if you will. You know, he's
Yeah.
one of the in his troop, his View Askew universe now. I mean, he's one of the guys. You know,
Yeah. And when we get to the cap after is it before the credits or after the credits when you see George Carlin for the first time?
yeah.
When you see Buddy Christ.
Mm-hmm.
George Carlin is fantastic.
Just nails it.
R.I.P.
I mean, you can't. How can you be any more? How can you be any more anti-establishment than putting George Carlin as a? I mean, that's just,
right.
You know, it's great. And you know, when he wrote that, George Carlin was probably like, "I'll do it in a heartbeat," because like that's everything that he went. I mean, George Carlin was a big old atheist, and him playing pretty.
Did you see his wedding ring still on his finger?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, his wife died.
Oh.
I didn't notice it the first time I seen it because I wasn't paying attention. But this time around, his wife died shortly before they filmed this.
Oh.
And he said, "I'll do this, but I'm not taking my wedding ring off."
Yeah.
And I thought that was cool that he left it in there for him and stuff. So yeah, that's kind of a cool little factoid.
I like it.
Yeah.
But you were saying Ben Affleck just kind of did it for you in this one.
Yeah, the opening scene when they're in there, just anytime he is spitting Kevin Smith dialogue, it feels real to me at least. It feels natural. It doesn't feel like, okay, I had to learn these lines. He's able to get the emotion out, whatever it is, whether it's that little cameo in Clerks 2, or it's in Chasing Amy, or even the buttfucker in
that's right.
Mallrats.
I love the I think my two favorite the two favorite lines right in that those opening scenes are the it's like quit leering at me, man. People are gonna make it look like I just broke up with you. That was when he's handing him the piece of paper. That's a good one. And then the other one was when they shake hands when they're riding on the People Mover, and Matt Damon's like, and I had this quote under my name for a long time. I said, "Never let it be said that your anal retentive attention to detail has not yielded positive results." And then when he slaps his hand, he goes, "You can't be anal retentive if you don't have an anus."
Yeah,
that's my favorite. That's my. I just love that part so much. I mean, because it's so good. Just I love it.
Yeah. But that's all I have for the opening. What about you, David?
Well, it's interesting because I came back into the opening with kind of fresh eyes, and yeah, the whole airport scene was really cool. Is Loki's basically talking this nun out of being part of the church.
Yeah, right.
Love that.
Yeah. And absolutely wins. And she's like, "What have I been doing in my life?" "Well, you could just take that coffee can with all that money and you could just go buy yourself a nice dress. Get yourself a man or a woman, whatever you want." Just,
really
make it happen.
There's a series of moments, go find yours.
and the whole time Bartleby's just rolling his eyes at him from the other side, just like, "I can't believe he's just doing this." He's like, "You totally believe in God. Why are you doing this?" He's like, "I just like clergy." That's
so good. And I think that's a killer line right there too. Just seeing him sitting there, Ben Affleck spit that line. He goes, "For a fact there is a God. You've been in his presence. He's spoken to you directly." Like, I love that. He's spoken to you directly. Like, and then you just claim to be an atheist, It's so good.
It's so good. But it was really interesting coming at it again. Right off the bat, you get that disclaimer in the beginning.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I'm thinking, Kevin Smith's ahead of his time.
He was
with that statement. And I know he did it so that they could release the movie in 99 because of, the church and all this controversy and the people wanting to cancel him and things like that. So he puts his disclaimer saying, "Dude, this is a joke. Take it with a grain of salt. Don't worry about it. Think of it like the platypus." And then, "Oh, by the way, I'm sorry about the platypus. Anybody who loves platypus, I didn't mean to offend you guys either." And I'm thinking, oh my God, this is exactly like what we're dealing with now.
Very much.
Where people just get offended at the slightest thing.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, okay, this would be great because now, I was going to just sit and watch it anyway, but now I have no problems just sitting and enjoying it.
Yeah.
Rather than, yeah.
Yeah, it's like when I remember seeing that disclaimer too, and then after watching the movie, you go, who in God's name could possibly get so arms about something that's so trivial in a way? Not even like just and not even just trivial, one man's opinion. He just happened to turn an opinion into a 2 hour long movie. Like that's that's what what always weirded me out about this, people protesting and they're sending death threats. I was like, you're literally upset about a dude's opinion.
Yeah.
Like that, just turn it off. Don't watch it. I mean, you don't
but
have
that's
to.
how it is now.
Yeah.
That's exactly how it is now.
That's right.
Trivia.
Trivia.
Yes.
Bartleby is reading an article about the movie franchise. You have to freeze the frame to notice it. I read the whole article and it listed every movie product except
the magazine product. Oh, that's pretty neat.
And that was the one he forgot at the board meeting.
Right. Oh, did you also notice? I think my favorite thing is, did you notice that when they're on the people mover, the nun is in the background, all sloshed off her butt? Oh yeah,
I didn't notice that.
She's all sloshed off her butt and she's like dancing, and the people are trying to get her back in the restaurant because she's out there with a mug, like dancing. The nun's out there dancing with this mug because she's all drunk.
No, I didn't notice that.
Okay, I didn't notice it until like 2 times ago, and I was like, oh my god, there's the nun.
Yeah. Okay, now there's the line in here that really hit me, and I don't quite remember where it's at. So tell me if I've jumped too far ahead. Okay. It's the faith. I wrote it down. The faith glass of water is small when you're a kid, and large as an adult.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think she.
I love that analogy, and it's so true.
Yeah, it's about as hard getting that right. Yes, that is correct. Right now. No, but I think it's a well thought out and well written line. I mean, faith is like a glass of water, because when it doesn't take that much to fill it because you have enough to believe in. You can believe in, but as you get older and the world starts to become more and more gray, less black and white, it takes a lot more.
The glass gets bigger.
Yeah, the glass gets bigger, and it's there's not enough to fill it because it's just. There you go. But she,
hurts.
That would hurt. But yeah, no, and I think it's a brilliant line because it's true. I think there's people that feel that way. All day, every day that feel that way about faith and is God listening to me and is but yeah, that's a great line. Love it.
Yeah, I love that line because just for some reason it really struck with me. Stuck with me.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Jason Lee. What is your guys' thoughts on Jason Lee as Azrael?
Perfect.
I like it. I mean, I like him.
I don't think they could have picked a better guy for that role. I mean, the way he presents himself, the way he presents himself to the lady at the door. I mean, how can you get any better than that? Him wearing a pure white suit, being a devil, like that's just brilliant writing right there. I like that.
You liked him too, David?
Yeah, no, I liked him. I'm not a Jason Lee fan. And but his role here was really good because he was able to be charming, and at the same time he's a demon. So he's able to come in and go, kind of air conditioning do you have? Do you have air conditioning? We got this Freon issue. And she's like, oh, I have central air. Oh, you know what that means, don't you? You're dead. And it's just he kills her. And then also, hockey stick to the back. She's done. And he comes in and he goes, oh, all right, get that out of here.
Yes.
And they just drag her. And he, without knowing it right off the bat, he was the mastermind of the whole thing.
Yeah.
The whole thing that Bartleby and Loki were doing. It was all him. And
I mean,
you don't don't get that. You don't see that right off the bat. You think he's just some goober demon that he's just, kind of playing off of everyone. Maybe helping Bartleby and Loki a little bit, but then yeah, there's just these ulterior motives that he has through this whole thing that culminate there toward the end that I really liked.
I can't even. I have to jump in with the no pleasure, no rapture, no exquisite sin greater than Central Air. Like that is such a great line. I mean, because it just works for that character.
Man, see, I am glad you both like. I had a hard time with him because all I saw was Brody. His mannerisms were like, I don't know. It's still, he's young in his career. It felt like he was just doing Brody again at times. The way he moved his body. What's up, 4K
What's
King?
up,
dude?
But I don't know. That's just. I had a hard time with Jason Lee because I'm a Jason Lee fan, and for some reason, I had a hard time with him here.
It makes sense. I mean, a lot of his mannerisms are Brody mannerisms in that, but I think that lends itself to that character in a way because Brody's goofy, but Azrael in his own way is goofy, because he's, that's in that's, it's just one of those things where he's taking himself way too seriously, but at the same time up front at the beginning part of the movie, he kind of isn't. Like it's because he's like, I got this, it's in the bag. He's like the terrible Bond villain that thinks he's got it from the start. But I think that's what lends the quirkiness of that character to him being the demon, because he's got some great one-liners and the rest.
He does.
So
okay. I just got a few notes, just highlights I want to hit, then I'm gonna turn it over to you. Alan Rickman, fucking fantastic,
phenomenal. Like this, you could write a thesis on the way he plays that character. It's so good, good. When he introduces himself, like he's just as he's as matter of fact and as funny as he can be at the same time. That's what I love about that character right there. Like the very first thing is he's like, oh, get over yourself, will you? Couldn't rape if I wanted to. Angels aren't. He's like you bottom feeders, just trying to think everybody's getting into your knickers. That
made me chuckle.
Yeah, it's just so good. Like he's that character. Even I think my mom watched like the first about 30-40 minutes of it with me one time, and even at his character, she laughed at a couple parts that he was saying.
That's cool. I'll come back to David with his thoughts on Alan Rickman. At this point, we see Alan Rickman's the pinnacle for me. Pinnacle. Then we get to the part where it takes me out of the movie, and I have their shirt on. I love Jay and Silent Bob, but it's the entrance of Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah,
movie. I did not like it. They took me out of the movie. If it was just Bartleby, and all the other dudes, and Azrael and Alan Rickman's character, and Bethany, right?
Yeah, Bethany. Now I'll tell you, that's where you have a problem with Jay and Silent Bob, the way they come into it, is I always felt that Bethany could have been played by somebody a little better than Linda Fiorentino. Yeah, she's good. She's good. But I think that they could have had someone just a little different for that role. I always pictured somebody just.
Originally went after Gillian Anderson, and she was like, "Hell no." Yeah, because he was an X-Files fan.
Yeah,
and she passed on that real quick.
I couldn't see her. I couldn't even see her.
I couldn't see her in there. I liked Linda Fiorentino better than Gillian Anderson.
Oh yeah, no, she would have made Linda like she does do the role well, but I always just thought there was got to be someone just a little different than her that could have played that role. I mean, she's an actress, don't get me wrong, she's a great actress, but I don't know what caused Kevin Smith to pick her in that scene or that role. I don't know, but
I wonder if she was pushed onto him by the studio. That could have been like, hey, these are your two choices. This is what you're gonna get.
Yeah, I mean, but weirdly, I think she's one of those characters that definitely grows on me through. Because there's a lot of scenes where I firmly believe she's terribly overacting, but I mean that's what he wanted, and but again, it's she wasn't my first choice for Bethany, but she still makes a good Bethany,
So we're going to backtrack a little bit, David. We talked about Alan Rickman. What is your thoughts when you see Alan Rickman in this film?
Oh man, I love him, and may he rest. He's just an amazing actor. In fact, just a second.
I hate it when people need it spelled out for them.
Just his portrayal of Metatron as the voice of God, just with the condescension in his voice when he talked, it was great because he's like, I've been the voice of God because you guys can't hear it if God's talking to you. You gotta describe, so I have to talk to you. So that when you hear the voice of God, that's me.
Yeah.
But not that he ever got real credit for it unless you know about Metatron.
And I like how that came to play later on in the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah. So I love the foreshadowing there with that. And then Alan Rickman through the whole movie was kind of like okay, I got to do something because I don't know where God is. So I've got to be the one, since I'm the voice of God. I'm going to have to be the hand of God. I'm going to have to do something. Yeah. So, hey, I'm going to get the last scion to do this. I don't know if she can, but at least I'm making an effort. So it was just, I love Alan Rickman. I liked him in this movie. So yeah, I was thumbs high for that. One of the best casting choices for Metatron.
Oh God, yeah. I don't think there could have been
anybody. I can't think of anybody that could have been better.
Yeah. That part was him. I mean, it'd be like, who else could have played Snape? Nobody. Like there's nobody
else could have played. There's nobody. When I heard he was going to be Snape, I was like, totally.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But I think, the scene where, basically he sits down with her in the Mexican restaurant. I think one of the great scene where he's not tequila spitting it out and you're like, what's going on? And then he, tells the story of Barbie and Loki getting super hammered and then, him flipping off God, telling him that the angels can't imbibe alcohol, hence all the spitting, and I like that scene, but I love it when he gets real serious with her and he's like, now you have to listen very carefully here. Alanis Morissette's voice is not, please don't, you're not maybe not wrong. But but when he was like, he's like, if they get in, everything that existence will be wiped out. But because there's one line in that part that I didn't know. I always had it, never had the subtitles on, so I always just watched it. And then I watched it with the subtitles on, when he says black will become white, up will become down, existence will become nothing, nothingness. And then he says a word there. He says, in essence. Well, I always thought he said innocence, which I would have been like, that's also would fit there, because if you unmake everything, there's no sin. So it would be, there would be nothing there. So I always liked that line, but when I heard him say in essence, and I saw that in the text, I was like, man, I always thought he said innocence there, but I was like, it works either way though, because he's trying to tell her, in essence, they'll unmake existence, if they do that, because they're reversing God's decree. So in that part, I just thought it was very kind of fascinating to see that he said in essence, because what we hear sometimes is different than what actually is said. I like that. I always thought in my head he says innocence there.
Yeah.
She did. Right, her voice would kill people. Well, it's a possibility. Later albums. Yeah, maybe not the first one.
Okay, Dave. I said I don't know if you could hear us when you went away.
No,
But
I had to go away. But yeah,
okay.
granddaughter was into something I needed to take care of.
She was in your movies, wasn't she?
No, she grabbed
I'm just kidding.
this huge wagon that we use for shopping, and she took that and she was trying to open it up. So that was causing a ruckus, and then my wife called at the same time. So
Yeah.
For us. Oh, the part that we talked about was the part that takes me out of the movie. I got the name on my shirt. I love Jay and Silent Bob. When they enter this movie for me, it takes me out. It takes me out of the movie. It's too silly. What are your thoughts on Jay and Silent Bob in this?
I agree. I don't like Jay and Silent Bob. I just don't. And that's just, I like, I'm not a Clerks fan. I didn't like Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back or whatever. I don't care for those two characters. That being said, there are places where those two make sense in the movie. But yes, I agree. Seeing them made me think, oh crap, it's another Clerks movie. And I was ready to go. I was ready to shut it off the first time I watched it. And having them as the prophets, kind of a stretch, but I'm like, okay. And then, yeah, I mean, I guess I don't mind Silent Bob so much. It's just Jay is really Jason Mewes, great guy. I've talked to him personally.
Me too.
Great dude.
Mm-hmm.
But his character is atrocious. And it's not appealing to me. So it took me out of the movie at first when I first watched it, but I've built a tolerance for him here because there is a place where he belongs in this movie. It just doesn't show up until probably half or 3/4 of the way in.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's just my age.
Your age.
I love Kevin Smith. I love Jay and Silent Bob. Everybody knows this. But sometimes, man, I just have to roll my eyes. It's like, what the hell? What was I thinking?
Yeah.
It's I don't know.
Yeah, there's a couple scenes where
my granddaughter is singing right now. I don't know if you guys can hear this.
I can't hear it.
My granddaughter is singing, and and it's like I'm about to cry because she's nonverbal. So she's singing.
Oh, good.
It doesn't make any sense what she's saying, but there's tones and there's sounds coming out, and
that's awesome.
She's making it sound like music, and I'm just like, I'm really about to to cry, you guys. I'm sorry.
That's awesome.
But,
she's like, you're crying on the
so
the
kind of singing like I do, but
yeah, I think you guys are right though. I think some of his lines in this one are kind of a little stretched. They're a little far-fetched. They're too one-dimensional, but that is his character. So I mean,
he's playing Jay.
Yeah, he's playing Jay, so it's one-dimensional. But it also, I think it's in essence, but in essence, a very small role in the movie, even though they are the prophets. That character himself, he's got some, good parts, and he's got some things where he does. But I mean, towards the end of the movie, one of the funniest parts of the whole movie, I remember my brother and I would crack up every time we'd see that part at the very end, when they let go of his ears and he stands up and he's like literally yelling at God. That's one of the best. That's one of the best of the whole movie. That's great. But I mean, it's like, because my little brother and I, every time we'd watch that, when he's like, "What the fuck happened to that guy's head?" like just his expression on his face, it's priceless.
Because he's yelling at her, and then he looks over and he goes, "What the?" And I agree.
And like, but again, I would agree. And of course, Silent Bob is just Silent Bob. He's there to fill the role. That's right.
I am old, man. I'm gonna be 46 this year, man.
There you go. I'm the young one in this room. I'll be 40.
The young one. I'm the one who needs a nap.
But okay, there's one thing I did like about Jason Mewes, or one scene I really when they're sitting at the diner and he's talking about John Hughes movies. I love that. That tickled me. I did like that.
homage right there. That's
I like that. My favorite scene it was with Chris Rock where he was like, because Chris Rock was telling Linda Fiorentino like all about her life, and Jason Mewes goes, "Oh yeah, what about my life?" And he goes, "You masturbate like nobody I have ever seen." He goes,
and you think about
"Tell me
guys.
something I don't know." He goes, "You only think about guys."
That's just
And the way Silent Bob looks at him.
He looks over at Silent Bob and he goes, "Well, not only."
Well, no. It's like, no.
It was the only time he was really serious in the movie. Was like, I don't only think about guys. And that made me chuckle, and I was like, okay, but yeah,
you brought him up.
Yes, literally just thinking of the character you just brought up is Rufus, the 13th apostle.
The 13th apostle.
Yeah, the black guy who was left out because he's black, so he says. But no, I think him picking Chris Rock for that character too, and that was truly, I believe, at the height of Chris Rock's. He just came out bigger and blacker. He came out with he had a couple albums at that time. I mean, the dude was the hottest guy on the planet back in '99. He had like 3 HBO specials.
I think when they were filming this, he was flying back and forth.
Yeah,
I remember him talking about it.
He was
doing something else at the same time. Yeah,
he was huge, and to have him do that role, but I think he plays it so effortlessly. I mean, I think Chris Rock is definitely one of my favorite characters in the movie, just of how he goes from, he can be angry, he can be serious, he can be comedic. All of those things happen with Rufus's character in that movie, and that's what I really like him, bringing up the fact that, he was friends with Jesus, like literally friends with Jesus. Like he was literally hanging out with him and stuff.
He owes me $10. He owes me $12.
$12. It's like, I love that. I love that line where he's like, we were sitting down we were eating at this restaurant in Canaan, and I got really drunk, and he told me the secrets of the resurrection, and I forgot.
I forgot it.
It's like, and I forgot. But like that was, but I love that he was friends, like I said, he's friends with Jesus. And then, Bethany asked him about, him being friends with Jesus later in the movie. He's like, what was he like, and talking to him. But I think that character was pretty phenomenal. I like Rufus in that a lot,
I love Chris Rock. But I think there's sometimes he just goes just a little too far for me. And then some of his delivering his lines. Yeah. Other than that, he's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a stand-up comedian, so I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm expecting him to go too far. With his verbiage and with his tone, I'm expecting him to go too far.
And I think my issue is something that Adam brought up a couple episodes ago. We're not watching these movies for the first time. We're not watching them for fun. We're watching them to be critical and find things. And this is, I think, the first time it's really, I'm being critical, like super critical on the movie of Kevin Smith.
Yeah. No, that's the thing. This was the first time I watched it to actually review it. Before I've just, the first time I watched it because I think I lost a bet, but
the possibility.
It was like, oh no, somebody came over with the DVD and we were going to watch DVDs, and the guy goes, "Hey, I got Dogma." And I'm like, "Is that the Kevin Smith movie?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I go, "All right, fine. Well, there's enough beer in the house. Let's do it." So, and then I was like, dude, I liked that. So then after I bought it, I watched it a few more times, and that was for entertainment purposes. This was the first time I actually went through and critiqued it, paused and rewound, went over lines a couple more times, looked at different scenes a little differently. Like I didn't notice the nun getting sloshed until this time.
Yeah.
And when you mentioned it, I was like, dude, I just saw that for the first time.
Because when you're watching things, when you're not just paying attention to the character and you're watching things in the background, I swear they're like, it's Kevin Smith's little like homage to even something like Airplane, where things are going on in the background and, comic things are, taking place, and you don't notice it until it, afterwards, or you see it a second, third, fourth time, and you're like, oh my God, I didn't even notice that before.
Yeah.
like all the you know, when you sit there and look at all of the advertisements that he's had in all of his movies, like the nails cigarette, and there's one poster in the back for Nails when he flicks open his lighter to light a cigarette. That's nails. There's nails on his lighter. So there's all these little advertisements and products that he's come up with over the years that he puts in the background and in the, you know. Now I do think there's parts of this, like there's the one scene that talk about overacting or underacting or just a bad thing. Those two guys that are standing in the background when Matt Damon and Ben Affleck walk by and they're doing the
yeah,
that, I
with
was
the
like
cheese and stuff.
There was like they could have easily not have been in that scene. It makes no sense. Like there's
Did you catch who one of those were? It was one of the dudes from Impractical Jokers, because he was what's his name? He's the heavier set one, not the heavier set one, but the middle heavy set one.
I did not know.
Yeah, because he was affiliated with Kevin Smith before he did Impractical Jokers, because he did like the message boards and his merchandise. Like he ran the website, shipped out all the merchandises and stuff. So he pops up in a lot of his movies.
Wow. Yeah, there's two guys. I mean, I was like, what are those guys doing back there? I was like, it's literally ridiculous. Like every time I look at it, like, oh, it's so cringy. There's two guys acting in the background.
Okay, what do you guys think of Salma Hayek when she appears? Come on.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just went off into dreamland there for a second. But back again. No,
serendipity, right?
It was exactly what that was.
Yeah.
Serendipity.
I mean, she looks
just walk in and she's stripping.
Yeah.
And to Candy Girl.
Yeah.
And she's got pigtails.
Yeah. That was hot.
That takes a close second from Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah, I was gonna say, knowing if we're gonna talk strip scenes and Salma Hayek, we're gonna put Dusk Till Dawn at the very top.
It's got to be compared.
Yeah.
It's got to be compared.
Yeah.
But
she very much works as that character. There's no one. I don't think looking back on that, there's no one else that could have played that character either, with the kind of the timing, the quick, you know, the way she says things. I like that character that she is in this for sure. You know, he might have gotten someone of similar attractiveness or, you know, whatever, but I don't think he would have pulled it off as well as she.
No. Yeah, no, I think she was fantastic.
And I love how she takes credit for a lot of people's successes.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I really did.
Yeah. I'm responsible for 9 of the 10 top grossing movies of all time.
Yeah. Except for
like somebody sold their soul.
Somebody sold their soul for that one.
They sold their soul to get the grosses up on that piece of shit, as she says, you know. But it's pretty funny that she does talk about that. And I mean, the scene between her and Azrael in the bar. And like, I mean, we could, this is one of these movies. I literally, if I would have written all this down, because it's just all from memory. I've watched it so many times, but I could literally, you know, we could do scene by scene by scene in this one. And it, you know, sure, it'd be a 3-hour long, but you know, it's just one of those ones that I could jump back and forth and, you know, from every different scene. And, but yeah, there's, you know, serendipity for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
What about the rubber poop monster?
I think I knew the Golgothan was coming up, and I understand. I mean, look, the Golgothan literally makes the front cover. You know, he makes the front cover. You know, the cast was sent to have respect on board that Jason Mewes memorized every character. I didn't want to piss off that Rickman dude. That literally makes sense, you know, because you're working with a actor of, you know,
a classically trained.
He's an actor.
Dude, he's an actor. He's a thespian. He's one of those dudes where you're like, dude, he just walked off of Broadway and grabbed Grabthar's hammer and came after you. And that's all there is.
But no, I think how do I want to say it? The idea of the Golgothan was very cool. You can only he worked with the special effects that he had at the time to pull it off. Clearly looking back on 99 level with his budget and the kind of practical effects he had to use with the special effects that he had to use, you can see what is CGI'd, you can see what is practical effects, them covering the rubber suit with the the fake poop and everything. But I think the idea of that and her explaining the idea of where the shit demon came from makes a lot more sense, because if you were to just come in that scene, you'd be like, what the hell is that? But like you literally have to, when she explains the city of Golgotha where they crucified everybody, and it wasn't just Christ, it was rapists, thieves, brigands, everybody that they did that to. It wasn't just the guy who claimed he was the son of God, and it was everybody, that's what they did. And so when all of that blood, bowel, piss, whatever, it just rolls downhill, that would create it would create a demon, and so hence the Golgothan. But I think it's it's the very first time in my life that I ever heard that term, because I'm not from a religious background, but it was neat to hear the story of that and go, that makes perfect sense.
It does.
Really makes perfect sense in the realm of religion and what faith would have. The idea of a demon that would be made of all of that crap literally would make sense.
Yeah. I mean, okay.
What do you think, Rich?
I like you said, I like the thought of it, but the visual presentation of it, again, critical eye. I don't know if it's my age. As I get older, I'm more critical of film. I didn't like the visual presentation.
Yeah. It's rough.
What about you, Dad?
It is rough. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's and again, not to say that it couldn't have been done better. Sure, it probably could have been done better, but it's a 12-minute long scene. It's nothing that's going to have a extremely lasting impact. You know what I mean?
But it made the front cover.
Yeah. But I think that's part of that, the cult status of this movie, that character made the front cover is just based on the cult status of said movie.
Yeah. That crap leaves an impression.
There certainly did.
Yeah. I'll tell you this though, don't eat chili when you watch that scene.
Yeah.
Just
I love
sitting there going.
He literally shoots the shit cannon out of his arm.
Yeah.
Now I will say, being a parent and you see a kid do something, or serious, I like what they did on the wall back on the back. I was like, pretty damn realistic, Been
good. There, done that.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's like, oh yeah, nothing like a good poo scene to get you through a movie.
That's where that's where I think that's what I mean. Part of the it's got to be a Kevin Smith world if there's not dick and fart jokes and poop jokes. I mean, it's just part. It's part of the par for the course, and so I think that was it had to be in there regardless of what people might have thought of the scene.
Sorry guys, I forgot to charge my iPad.
Okay, you're gonna be all right.
No, I got it. I just plugged it in.
Asashi, yes. There you go. That's a good one.
So, I got that out special for Adam because
appreciate it.
Yeah.
I didn't have any beer tonight because I was like, I'm getting that bourbon. So I was like, gotta have
bourbon for your birthday. Yeah. So
that's right.
Just drinking the deal.
Yeah, they got
the deal going.
Now what, and I gotta admit there's some very poignant scene. Now, okay, first off, the triplets, either way, take them or leave them. It's not, there was, now I do love the scene though, when they slice reality into nothingness. That's pretty cool. That was
cool.
Yeah. Like
that's after what's his face shows up, right?
Yeah. That's when,
that's when Chris Rock shows up.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right. but that the scene where they slice reality and jump into the void, if you will, or nothingness, and then they put it back up. That's pretty cool. I hadn't seen anything like that in another movie before, where they're literally entering another dimension. That's cool. Now I got some, I think one of my, again, two of the major scenes that I really, really love about this movie. And well, there's so many. I could go, like I said, I could go on. I think I'll pick three good ones I really like. Oof. Sorry, 4. Guys, it just popped in my head. I was like, 4. I got
it's
4.
Okay. The floor is yours.
Like, I'm gonna save my favorite class, but the one where they're on the train and she's drunk and she's explaining her mission, but like just the back and forth between Ben Affleck and her when they talk about losing their faith and where they were when they lost their faith. Now, it's powerful. I mean, it's like anybody that's been in this situation like that where you feel that nobody's listening, nobody's paying attention, and like what I find so powerful about that scene is, imagine, I guess, let's call it spade. We're all creatures of God, if you think about it. But imagine being a right-hand man, creature of God. Like literally, you're like the highest choir of angels, and you get tossed out. And you feel like God's not listening anymore. I mean, how much that would hurt, not just being a human, but which is then in turn going to lead to my favorite scene. And then that's where, but like the train scene is just, to me, it's phenomenal. Like that.
I agree.
Between them. So good. So good.
Totally agree with that.
Yeah. I'm glad. Dave, what are your thoughts on that train scene?
I love that scene. It's one of my favorites in the movie. And it's when Bartleby gets that realization of who Bethany is.
Yes.
You took the word right out of my mouth.
And what the consequence is for what he's about to do. And that she's there, and they were just having this great conversation, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh crap, she's the one that's supposed to stop us.
And the look on his face.
The look on his face just shifts. Yeah. To like I don't know if like is he having an existential crisis? Like he's like, do I want to end existence? Or is it like, oh crap, does she know who I am? Is she gonna find me out? He just gets a somber expression on his face.
Very
right before all hell breaks loose.
Like
and then my other favorite part of that is when Silent Bob throws Loki and Bartleby off the train.
Yeah.
And then he turns around to the one dude who has nothing to do with the movie. And his first line is about no ticket.
No ticket.
And that's right out of Indiana Jones. So that cracked me up because he's just like, the dude's like, oh crap, you just threw people out. And the guy's like, and have a ticket. And I'm like, dude, those
no ticket,
they're fallen angels. Where Silent Bob's like just gonna toss him out like a bouncer.
Well, I mean, but if they're trying to stay, I mean, I thought about that too. I thought about that scene a lot where he just tosses both of them off there.
Yeah.
Clearly, they let him do that. If you really think about it, clearly they let him because
if they're prophets.
But they are prophets, so they had the hand of God behind them, and I get that's the strength. But at the same time, they can't uncase their wings, so clearly they're not going to use the strength. They're not going to use the strength that they have to take down a couple humans when they clearly had the strength to do so.
Yeah.
If there were other people on that cart or on that train car, so then if they ended everybody, they'd have to end them too. And who's supposed to say not trying to get back in good graces, but whatever But I always thought about that. I was like, there's the instrument of God that is the Jay and Silent Bob throwing them, or trying to throw them off the train. But I just always thought about that almost like in the terms of, I always looked at it like Superman could end Batman anytime he wants. He just chooses to. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that's always
and that's kind of where I wanted to bring it up because we had that conversation, Adam, where we talked about how Superman could just snap Batman like a twig, but he doesn't.
Yeah, just chooses
Do
not.
you think that was the case here? Even though Bartleby and Loki were like, dude, we're gonna end existence. We're gonna make this happen. Actually, Loki didn't know.
Yeah,
But when Bartleby figured it out, he's like, dude, let's do it.
well,
that's where the dichotomy shifts between Loki and Bartleby.
Mhm.
Because originally Loki's like, I want to go home. Let's do it. Let's go home. I'm going to start killing people. And Bartleby's like, no, we should probably not. You don't understand how God works. And then when this train scene happens, the whole thing flips. And Bartleby becomes the psycho. And Loki's the voice of reason.
I got it. I love going back. There's an earlier scene in the movie that I really like when they're in the gun shop. And he's like, what? You set a couple fires. And then he looks at me, he's like, fuck you, man. He's like, I rained down sulfur. It's subtly different. He goes, he's like, genocide. He's like, I love that line. He says, genocide is the most enduring thing that one could partake in next to soccer. And I was like, I always love that line. I thought that was too funny because I was like, it's tongue in cheek, but it makes sense. You know what I mean?
But you go back to the way those lines are delivered. No one else could have pulled that off, I don't think.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things. That's what I mean. Like those lines, how they in all the deleted scenes when they're like, or the outtakes when they're like laughing at each other, they can't just keep each other from breaking up. That's amazing.
I've never seen those.
Oh no, they're good. They're on the bonus features. I think on the Blu-ray. They're on the Bluray. So yeah, you might not have seen.
Rub it in.
Nah, you know.
And we got Movie Hunter in the house.
Movie Hunter.
Oh, what's up, Movie Hunter? How
You don't have to
worry. You're at the grocery store. Went for one thing and came home with 3 bags
full
of groceries and one empty wallet.
But thank you so much for being here, Movie Hunter. Appreciate it.
Never go grocery shopping on an empty stomach. It's my wife's number 1 rule because I ended up filling basket with stuff. We need these bagel bites because I have an empty stomach. My stomach's growling.
Right. Right. But I love that scene when he's like, and then from that scene, I love that because Randall's in that scene. Randall's the gun store owner, and he's like we call this one the fecalator because anytime the person sees this, him or her shits their pants. Love that, and that's the one he goes with too. I love that how he goes with the 44 Magnum. You know, that's just pretty neat. And I do love. I mean, like I said, there's so many good scenes in that. But when the scene, I love the scene where they're on the bus and he's like, the guy who still owes me $10 as to whether or not which movie would be bigger, E.T. or Crush Groove. I love that. You know, he's like you were wrong, like you always are. Like, I just love that. You know, but that's the coolest thing about their characters is there's a best friend and a best friend telling the other best friend, you don't know anything because I know you better than you know yourself. And that's I love that part of their relationship, which then leads again. I'm gonna leave my favorite to the last, but then I really like. I was gonna say the next one I really like is the one where Bethany realizes who she is and runs out there, and Alan Rickman standing on the water. If that is not one of the most iconic scenes in any movie ever, where he's just in the trench coat standing on the water. I mean, like that's brilliant. Like it's just, they're just off in some crazy lake somewhere. You can see people having fun in the background, and they see the lights from people. You know, she's sitting there, you know, going crazy over the fact that she's, you know, in Jesus's bloodline, and that he's just standing there on the water, just looking at her, you know. And I think,
what's up, Tony?
Tony, hey, Tony,
how you doing, man?
Tony, we're finally going to get our products from Zavvi. And that's a whole different story, but we'll go into that later.
The whole world's against us, dude. I swear to God.
I love that scene. I think it's a very poignant scene too, where he's like, imagine, you know, he's like, me telling you who you are. Imagine me having to tell a 12-year-old boy he's the son of God. I mean, anybody who's got kids, imagine telling your kid that they're the most immaculate being on the planet that ever was or ever will. I mean, imagine that. Like, I mean, I was like, that's like he said, he's like, if I could take it back, he's like, I've never told anybody this before, but if I could take it back, I would have, you know. Imagine that. Imagine being the one, not even the kid's dad that can tell him that. The person has to be the voice piece for the person that's telling. I mean, what a responsibility that must have been. That's why I think that scene's pretty powerful too. That's for damn sure. What do you guys think about that one?
I like all the scenes you're saying, but I know the one scene you're waiting for.
Mm-hmm.
I never noticed it before I watch this again, because this movie never really got my full attention until now. And that scene that you're going to talk about later or soon.
Yes.
The look, you've said this before, and I was watching for it, and the look, again, Ben Affleck is the bomb. He fucking just emotes so much anger and hate in just a 2-second scene. The way he whips around.
I'm telling you, that's why that is my all-time favorite. That's the one I can sit and rewatch that scene over and over and over and over again on YouTube. And I do. There's many days that I'll just put that scene on. I have to watch the whole movie because it's so well written. It's so well written, and I've watched it so many times.
What's up, Evan?
But it's so well written that it's one of those ones where it, like, the emotion from that scene back and forth between the two is so, and Ben Affleck's character, you have to feel for him. You have to. There's no way that you can't. And that's why I love that scene so much, is because think about this. That's what I always say. This is what I kind of always get worked up about that scene is, imagine being an immaculate being. Immaculate. You're basically damn near perfect. You're not perfect, but you're about this close to being perfect because you're an angel. You're a being that was made truly in God's, image, something that you take care of heaven, you take care of people, all this. Imagine being just cast aside, like literally like nothing. I mean, we've all been in relationships where either we've been cast aside or you've had something where someone's done that to you, but imagine it on a level that is incomprehensible for our brains to imagine. Like, that's what I think where he emotes so well in that scene. As he says things like, they were given paradise, they threw it away. They were given the choice to believe in God. He's like, we know there's God. Some of them don't even believe he exists. And, he reveres their kind the most, while our kind has known nothing but servitude, scraping, bowing, adoration. Their kind has only known patience and forgiveness. He's like, where's, he's like, it's not right. It's not fair. And like, I totally feel that. Imagine being the first beings created by God and being like, yeah, you're a pile of shit. Like in that respect. I mean, can you, like, it's incomprehensible for our human brains to imagine being expelled from paradise. Imagine that. Like, that's what I mean. You can't even imagine that, which then leads me to the scene, which I think is the most powerful scene in the whole movie, is when Matt Damon is like, he's like, man, your eyes. And he's like, he slaps, he goes, my eyes are awake. And then when he spins around again, he says to him, I've heard a rant like this before. And Ben Affleck says, what'd you say? And he says, I've heard a rant like this before. And as he spins around, he, with every bit of anger and again, I don't think there's enough human emotion. There isn't enough human emotion. And what he brought out in that scene, I think is fantastic. He's like, you shut your fucking mouth right now. And I'm quoting, but he says, you sound like Lucifer, man. You lost it. Imagine, which I find, again, so powerful about that scene. Imagine being a right-hand creature of God and then being compared to the most evil thing on the planet, or evil thing in the universe. Imagine that. Imagine the amount of feelings that would be. And that's why he gets so worked up, because he's like, he's an angel, but he's compared to the most evil thing that's ever existed. Imagine that. I mean, just us or humans, our brains would explode trying to pull that in, trying to.
Dude, well said.
I
I've heard you talk about this scene over and over again, many times, and again, when watching it, I didn't catch it until this viewing, and just, wow, Ben Affleck. Like, you got to give credit to Matt Damon for getting him there. If Matt Damon can't deliver those lines the way Matt Damon does, you don't get that response from Ben Affleck.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean when he's like, you're talking about war on God. And I have seen what happens when the proud take on the throne. And he's like, I mean, imagine that. You, just a tiny little angel wanting to take on God. Like, that's what I mean. Like, that's why Ben Affleck gets his due in the end. But we'll come back to that too, because I have some theories on that too. But I mean, that's what I mean. It's just so powerful, and because he does turn into a lesser version of Lucifer in that scene. And he's like, you sound like the morning star. That's what I was like. If anybody knows anything about the morning star, he's the most beautiful of all the angels. That's what he was. He was the most gorgeous. He was, he's Lucifer. But he's like, he's lost. He's like, you're talking about war on God. I've seen what happens when the proud take on the throne. And he's like, nobody's going to stand in my way, not even God. So he like pushes them up against the thing there. And like, that's when you're like, oh my God, like that's insane, because he is about to do that. He's about to take on, he wants to end existence. But then to kind of go back, I think one of the most brilliant scenes too, which I wish could have been left in that movie. You can look at that. Is the scene in the bar when Azrael takes over the bar. Like, I love that, because when he takes everybody hostage, and when he says, he says, human, have you ever been to hell? I don't think so. And he, but they cut that scene short, because in the deleted scenes, I don't know if you know this, Rich, but in the deleted scenes, Azrael puts his hand on Bethany's head and he makes her see hell for 10 seconds. And like, it's a lifetime's worth of like seeing the suffering, and she just falls on the floor. Like, they have to help her back up. And he goes, I would rather not exist than go back to that. And that's what, like, I wish they'd left that in so you could see, because what he did do was like a pre Star Wars episode 6, 7, 8, where they tell everybody there's going to be a second of silence in the movie, so you can't, you can't hear the ship going through the other ship because it's space, you know what I mean? That you don't hear it, you just see it. But I wish they could have left that in, and it just literally reads on the screen, Azrael shows Bethany hell. Like, literally that, and that's all it is. But then you could make it what you think hell would be, and because that's the human mind. You put your you could wrap your mind around what you believe the hell would be, but like that, keep that on the screen for like 3 seconds and then just go back and then see her falling over. That's powerful, to him to do that.
But I think in Catholicism, I think it was always Satan.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Like, I mean, Morning Star was, which creeps me out, because there's a breakfast sausage called Morning Star sausage. I was like, I'm never eating that. I'm not doing that. Like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
Like, it's really weird. But yeah, no, I love that scene, because I wish they would have left that in. And I don't know why anybody wouldn't want to take it out, because if you watch the deleted scenes, Jason Lee has an extended monologue in that scene, and it's wonderful. Like, it is, I wish they would have never taken it out. It is so good, because it explains that scene a lot more, because it explains when he was banished to hell was just nothingness. It was the absence of God. That's it. That's all it was. But imagine how horrifying that would be if you're an angel, or you're, I think, that Weinstein. So yes, maybe. Yeah, that's right. But like that, but then he said when humans started understanding what hell was, every human put their own bit of suffering and existential crisis into what hell is, and it became what it is, all because of humans. He said when it was just the angels being cast into perdition, it was just nothingness. It was just a void of anything. That's what he said. That was hell enough. But then humans started adding the agony, the misery, the suffering. That is like, and that's what made it a billion times worse.
It's funny if you never seen Dogma, you keep hearing them say he as referring to God, and then spoiler alert, at the end, it's Jagged Little Pill.
Yeah, true.
I did dig that how they kept referring to God as a he, and then you see Alanis Morissette come out. I know people don't like her, but I didn't have no. They make the same references in Lucifer TV series.
Yes,
I never finished that.
By the by, that the guy who plays Lucifer on that TV, he's really good. He's really good.
Yeah.
But no, I think you're right. But I mean, there's Bethany says she, Serendipity says she, Chris Rock says he, and then you get to the last scene where is just laying waste to the place. Like he says, he's up there and he's just lost it. But when it is crazy, and there again. This is another scene where Ben Affleck's emotions completely get the better of him and get the better of the scene is when Jason Mewes shoots his wings off. Because when he shoots his wings off at first, he can feel it. And he's licking it. He's at the brink of crying because he's not an angel anymore. Like literally, how do they say transubstantiate? He's like, he literally becomes a human. So he's washed over with this feeling of every human emotion that you could possibly have, but then just the maniacal part comes out, and that's the weird part. But that scene, he's literally in the process of crying while he's laughing. It's bizarre, but it's so good.
Yeah, that whole end scene is great.
Yeah,
what was I gonna say, Dave?
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I was Evan's got some scripture that I wanted to bring up really quick.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Revelation 22:16, I, Jesus, have sent my angel to testify to you about these things for the churches. I am the root and the descendant of David, the bright morning star. So I don't know if Catholic Bible translation is different or not.
Yeah.
I mean, could he's actually talking of, like as a star instead of he's literally talking about a star instead of actual Lucifer. I mean, that's just my interpretation. But hey, I'm just an idiot.
Yeah, we're all just guys here. Not, like I always said, I'm just a guy. But I love.
Yes, my name is David, but I'm just.
I've always loved that, and I think again, not being from a religious background, but like enjoying religious thought and religious sometimes debate is something like I thought about it one time, and I was like, okay, let me. I even asked the old boss of mine who was very, very religious, and I said, what if Lucifer wasn't a bad guy? What if, now hear me out, I know this may be controversial, what if God made him a bad guy on purpose? What if he did? He needed a bad guy for his story. So is it really Lucifer's fault that he's a bad guy, or was he created to be a bad guy? Now, my boss, he was like, okay, but he still had free will. I said, no, he didn't. He was an angel.
Yeah, angels never had free will.
How did he have free will?
No.
Humans have free will. So, like in the scene, like when they always talk about, what if Judas? How is Judas a bad guy? How? I always said that. I was like, he was made to betray Jesus. Because if we're all made in God's image, and God knows everything, God knows the infinite, the Alpha, the Omega, everything in between. He already knew that Judas was going to do that. So did Judas really have a choice? And my boss was like, yeah, I love this conversation because he goes, yeah, he had free will. I was like, but did he?
I think he did.
I was like, you got to look at these things. And, I was like, but I don't know. I was like, I'm not God, so I don't know. But what my thing is like, you know, that, I mean, that would make sense too. In that interpretation,
Yeah.
I can see that. But I mean, but that was always my thought too. I was like, what if, but Lucifer never had a choice. He wasn't human. So he didn't have free will. He had to be what God made him to be. So didn't God make Lucifer evil on purpose? I'm just saying, I don't know.
That's
Like,
that's a good debate. That's a good question.
Because you always gotta have a bad guy for your story. I mean, these are the heroic stories that we always hear about growing up. There's a bad guy, David, Goliath. There's Cain and Abel. There's always a bad guy and a good guy. So if God is God and God needed to have an adversary, so he had to make an adversary. I'm saying, like, I don't know. Like, it's just always been my thought on that. I was like,
that is a very good thought. I mean,
can you really be bad at somebody? Can you really be mad at somebody for being evil that you made evil? I don't know. Like, it's a very weird dichotomy of, like, just a thought process. And, but, again, my boss always said, I was asking these questions to him one time, and he said, I just live by the phrase, stay in your lane. And I was like, kind of brings it back home too, like, don't do the evil things. Why do the evil things when you can just stay in your lane? I was like, oh, I get it. I get that too. I mean, then that way, you know where you're going. I was like, okay, I get that too. But no, I've always had those thoughts about Lucifer. I just always thought he was one of the most amazing characters that has ever been written about, because how can you be upset about a person who is made to be evil?
Yeah, to be honest, I never thought of it that way.
I don't know, like that. But no, but to get back, again, loving that last scene, loving it. Again, there's so much good things that go on there. But and that was, going back to Ben Affleck when he cuts his wings off, he becomes human. He's trying to run into the church, doors open. No, that's all right. I can nerd out on this. That's all right.
That's okay, Evan, man.
We're all nerding out. I mean, in all essence, that's what we're doing. But the idea that the door's blown open and there's God in whatever form that he wanted to take, But I love the idea that Ben Affleck comes up and he just looks. He looks at God, and I was like, he doesn't even have to say anything. Like the look in his eye when she grabs hold of him is just. It's one of, I don't know. It's just hard to emote. That would be a very, looking right at the eyes of God. Like, how could you emote that reaction? I think he does it very well. I think he does it.
Yeah. Yeah. And she never shows anger to him, even though he did like some unspeakable stuff. And she even kind of like had a problem with it when she went out and saw that. But when she's looking at him, she's looking at him with disappointment.
That's what I literally was. The way you look at a child with disappointment, not anger, not being mad,
anger, just disappointment. And then Ben reacted so perfectly to that.
Yeah, because
I just crying. I'm sorry. It just kind of broke down, and she's like,
no,
hugs him.
And that's why the scene I think is so powerful too, is like, clearly he's human. Clearly she opens her mouth and, and his head explodes, his heart explodes and everything like that. But my question in this scene is, when all of this happened, does God forgive and forget? Or does God continue with or do they end up back in Wisconsin?
Well,
where did it go? He didn't make it through the threshold, so he didn't get that automatic forgiveness to get a jail free card.
No, because he murdered his best friend.
He murdered his best friend, who was already human.
Yeah, and he wasn't a human yet when he did that. He was an angel that killed a human. So there's that. But then, like I said, when his head explodes, I was like, clearly, my whole thought was but they never say whether or not Bartleby and Loki actually get to go to heaven because they serve their time. They or did they just end up back in Wisconsin? I always thought it'd be funny if it cut to them hanging back out in Wisconsin at the airport again, just being like, bitch, like just getting that, like they just kind of pop up there again. They look at each other like, damn it, because did they really learn anything? Did they learn anything? It's powerful, but to ask a question to both panel here, did Bethany have to be martyred for that scene to work as well as it did?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
You don't think she?
I don't think she had to be martyred. And actually, she wasn't. They were going, she was dead for all intents. If she was dead and stayed dead and God didn't revive her, then she would be a martyr. But she went down and revived her. So God was not into having her be a martyr, but having her continue the Scion bloodline.
Yeah.
But I always looked at it like this. Did she have to die in order to make the life she was going to make when he gives her the new life? Because if she didn't, what would ever change with her? She had to know what the end was like before giving life to a new life. That's why I asked, because that was always my interpretation, is she had to die, because like if she didn't, what would have anything been solved? Like I think it was it's a crazy ending. It's one where you can always look at it. It's like a Donnie Darko ending. Like in a way, like you can watch it 1,000 times and go, well, did she need to die? Did she have to die? Was she always going to get pregnant? Was that always her story? Like that's what I think a story like that's based in religion / faith always has this. That's what I mean. I think she did, because she had to die to create the new life she was going to create. And be like, I don't know. I think that's a great scene too. I mean, like I said, so many of them, but I think it's
that whole end scene, the whole end piece is great. Okay, there's so much great stuff in there, but there's one scene that I said I don't like him in this movie. But there's that one scene I chuckled when she's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "We're all about to die. Let's fuck."
Yeah, that's right.
That made me chuckle. I ain't gonna lie.
You said 5 minutes left. We're doing this.
Yeah.
He still has that on his mind.
Yeah. And then the look of disgust on her face.
Oh,
that was priceless. Yeah.
I believe you right now.
Yeah.
Actually, I think the most horrifying yet funny, because you have to be in all aspects of Jay's mind. When he's like, when she kissed me, I got half a stock there. I was like, he's literally saying that when God kissed him, he got a boner. Like,
yeah,
it's like that. I mean, but I guess who else
was hot.
Yeah, it's like, who else could do it? I mean, but I think I mean, again, I just knowing that it's one of my all-time favorite movies. It's very difficult for me to find. I do find faults in it. There's lots of faults in it. I mean, I will say. Sure. But I'll always give it an A-. Like, to me, an A- is definitely worthy of that. I think from the time Clerks started, that's right. It is I think from the time that it was written but what he put out before it, knowing that he wanted the cast that he wanted, and then finally got the cast that he wanted to put it out, and put the story out on celluloid, if you will. I think his writing very much grew from the time that Clerks came, and Chasing Amy and Mallrats, very freshman, sophomore, junior, and then a senior writing, like first four. I think it progressed, as it should, and it did, and I think that to me, still to this day, I think that's his epitome of writing was Dogma. It's A-.
Oh, good. Because I was going to ask you, is that your score?
Yeah.
A-.
Yeah. I mean, 97 out of 100, 96 out of 100, right. For me, always,
What would you give this?
Are we doing grades or are we doing?
Yeah, just pick how you want. Whatever.
Okay,
you
no, if we're going grades, I give this a B+. Okay. I think It checks the boxes that I wanted. And a B plus for a Kevin Smith movie. There's only one movie that's higher than that for me. So a B plus for a Kevin Smith movie is really good. That's on the bell curve. That's an A, bro. That's
Yeah, I agree with you for
but-
your hatred. I want to say your hatred of Kevin Smith movies. That one to for you to give it a grading it on a curve, giving it an A. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
What about
For
you,
me,
Rich?
This is a straight C. And it's only because Jay and Silent Bob. I hate to say that because the Bartleby and Loki stuff I loved, the Alan Rickman stuff I loved, but it's just hard for me to get into this movie fully invested because every time they show up, it's like, no, it don't work for me.
Yeah,
but I'm glad you guys love it. I really am.
It was definitely one of the very first. I mean, aside from again, Clerks, I think to me it was one of the very first movies that truly showcased, I think, how he could write when he took himself seriously, but seriously in a point where he was like, okay, I got to do the dramatic, I got to do the serious, I got to do the comedic, I got to do all of it. And when he put it all together right there, I think, that's what I mean. I think it was his peak. I think that's exactly because to me, this always a passion project. And it was a passion project before Clerks, and he honed it before he put it on screen. And he did what he could with the money. He got the actors that he could with the money. He put them into the script that he could with the money. And I think that it made, not only just the controversy, but I think it just made that was the top of his resume. Yeah. That was the peak of it. And I think it still is the peak of his resume.
I agree with that.
Yeah, again, not movies are bad, not that his other movies are bad, but this one I just think it was a very the subject matter mixed with the characters, mixed with the dialogue. It's just all what it was supposed to be, to me.
And this movie, like you said earlier, hits you the way Chasing Amy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I love that.
Yeah, I mean, this was I saw it in 2000, 2001 for the first time, and it was just something that I was like, man, writing was. Yeah, because I saw it on DVD. I had the DVD way back in the day, and that's how I rented it for the first time. And when I had it, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is so good! I can't wait till this comes out, or that I could own, this." And I did, and I've owned every incarnation of it since. I think I actually had the VHS of it at one time, but I don't know what happened.
I know I did.
If I ever find
I think I did too.
I'll probably get it just to say that I have all the incarnations of it.
All the formats,
yeah, that's for sure.
So we're gonna wrap this up. David, you're our guest. Any final thoughts on Dogma?
My final thoughts for Dogma is an idea is easily changed, but a belief is more difficult. So if you guys want to do anything, especially with this movie, make it a good idea and not a belief. I think you'll enjoy this movie a lot more.
Yeah, well said, my friend. Well
said. You took the words right out of my mouth. I was actually going to use that at the very end of this.
Oh man, I stole your thunder. Sorry, bro.
You did it so well. I can't complain. But all I can say is Buddy Christ it up. That's what I say. That's right. I
love it.
I don't know. Again, I just feel that it checks so many boxes when it comes to every part of a movie being exactly where it needed to be when it came out and who was in it. Like I said, it just checks every one of those boxes and every one of those feelings. And I think it is one of those movies, the more times you watch it, the more times you see something that you didn't see before, whether for the good or for the bad. But I think the story, if you really let yourself absorb the story, there's a lot of it that really, it would hit you. It hits you.
Dude, thank you for being here as always. We appreciate
Evan, it's always a pleasure having you on. Next Thursday, high five with Evan. We're gonna get 5 of his favorite movies. That's gonna be a blast. I can't wait to have that discussion.
Yeah. So, my thoughts is, Again, I think I said it already. Not my favorite Kevin Smith movie, but I enjoyed aspects of it. I really did. I agree with the writing; it's top notch, except for the Jay and Silent Bob stuff. I probably won't revisit this again until I get to my D's in my collection. So it'll be probably next year. And that's my thoughts on Dogma.
Nice.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely. Everybody, if you could follow these two guys, give them a like on everything that they put out, all their content, please do.
We really appreciate that.
Sex is a joke in heaven.
The way I understand it, it's mostly a joke down here, too.
He's
All our
funny.
links.
He's funny
are-
only, and I love that I love that scene. He's like, take sex for example. Sex is a joke in heaven, as far as I know. It's a joke down here too. I just always love that line. But no, you guys, thank you so much. Please hit that like button. Please contribute.
Yeah. Share.
Keep watching. Share it. Whatever you guys like, and of course, after this, coming up on the horizon, for those of you who are following us canon style, should be, and I could be wrong here, but I don't think I am, should be, is Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Yes, Jay and Silent. You're absolutely right. No, it's not in my top 5, Evan. Smart ass.
Yeah. But yeah,
I like
it's Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, and for those who haven't watched that, I recommend watching it because that is it's not one of my favorites, but it's definitely one of my wife's favorites. She's like, when are you gonna watch that? I'm gonna watch that one with you again. I was like, okay, that's coming up here soon, but
we'll have to figure out the dates.
Yeah, probably late August, maybe early September on that one, probably.
Yeah. What'd you say, Dave? Your mic didn't pick it up.
What's that?
What'd you say? Your mic, when you whispered into your mic, I didn't hear it.
Well, I actually did not enunciate. I was just mouthing the words. I will not be joining them for that conversation.
We want you to come back, most definitely.
Yeah, of course.
Hey, I am ready to come back for Red State. That's the other one that I really like. So I am down to come in and talk some Red State.
Oh, I love that movie.
I can't wait.
David, what do you have coming up?
What do I have coming up? What do we have coming up, bro? So we have, and I think we're doing Tuesdays now. Correct me if I'm wrong, at least for the time being.
Yeah.
So this coming Tuesday is by the numbers episode 30, which we have a double size by the numbers 10 movies we're going to be looking at, including Talk to Me, that's in theaters right now, and Meg 2. Plus a whole bunch of other ones. George Foreman, the new Resident Evil animated movie, things like that. So that's gonna be like a double size by the numbers. So hopefully you guys can check that out. That'll be at 6:30 Pacific, 9:30 Eastern on Tuesday night. Then on Thursday, the 10th, we have Evan, Pop Culture 33, which is going to come in and give us his high five, and we're going to score them live on the show. Both Adam and Rich have done this, so they know what's going on.
It's fun.
So yeah, we got 5 movies, and then yesterday, if you guys did not get a chance to watch it, please go watch the replay with Mike Masters from the Something Awesome podcast. That was an awesome, aside from the green and the gills, Rich, who had to take off because he was about to go up on camera. Which I was like, dude, just sign out. It's okay.
Yeah. I know. I sent you a text. It wouldn't go through at first either. I was like, come on, go.
Because I'm like, all you gotta do, you should just private chat me in the thing. But
that's true.
But anyway, I was just like,
so
I'm trying to type with one hand and talk to Mike at the same time, going, yeah, no, it's totally go ahead and sign out. Just
and then there's a moment as I'm throwing up, I was like, did I fully sign out? I wonder if they can hear me because my bathroom was just right off the ear. Because I'm loud. When I throw up, I'm really loud.
Mike and I be sitting there, I was like, it's like,
I was like,
okay. And I was just like, I'm just hit the mute button really quick because I could mute you, I could take you off, but
I was like, oh man,
I would let that go for just a minute and then went off. And I was talking to Mike. I said we'd have gotten way more views if you'd just gotten sick on camera, but it probably wouldn't have been good for future episodes.
No,
let's not.
There's no way we could. There's no way we could top that. Aside from an excrement demon, there's no way we could top vomit on camera, live on live stream. So
That is true.
but yeah, Evan on the 10th, and then but yeah, every Tuesday we have By the Numbers, so you guys definitely come over and check it out.
Hey
And
guys,
give Adam a follow on Instagram. I know he doesn't have a channel yet. Still,
yeah, I know. I put
still waiting for this.
stuff in the description.
Yeah,
I got his Instagram. I got 4K Lowdown's YouTube and Instagram. I got my stuff in there. So guys, please give us a like and a follow.
Thank you for everybody who came in the chat tonight. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys.
Yeah, great communication in the chat. This is awesome, you guys.
As much.
And Mike, if you're watching this on the replay, we want you to come on. We really do.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Heck, we missed you. We missed you this week.
Yeah, dude. He sent me. Yeah, I think I told you. He sent me a message, and dude, I like that guy a lot. So we definitely have to get him on here.
He was skewed.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, Mike and I have been friends for 25 years, but yeah, I mean,
I can see why.
He was 18 when I first met him, and we hit it off right away, like best friends in pro wrestling. And it's just continued on, even though I haven't been able to see him for a long time. We've talked all the time on Facebook and Instagram. So it was great having him on last night, and I'd love to see him on with you guys live talking about.
Me too. I'm
any of these movies. He's a huge Kevin Smith fan.
Yeah. Maybe we got the details.
Clerks too. You know,
that's what I was thinking. Clerks too, because that's a big one. That's where Kevin Smith finds his way again, I think.
I believe so too.
So we'll work with him to see if we can get him on it for Clerks too. Anything else you guys want to say before we get out of here?
Again, just appreciate everybody. Subscribe, like all of us on Instagram, YouTube, and cheers to everybody who could come in and enjoy it with us. Again, if you've never seen it, try to find yourself a copy of this. If you do,
do yourself a favor.
Don't take it too seriously, but see the forest through the trees. Look deeper.
That's right.
And do it. This is one. Like Adam said, watch it. You can watch it a bunch of times and get something new every time you watch it. So there's a lot of detail in here that Kevin Smith was really good at putting in.
Yeah.
That it all kind of matters. So
it does.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, guys, let's get out of here.
Yep.
Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day.
Appreciate you guys. Have a good day.